All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's issue triage meeting, uh, May 12th, 2025. So first off, let's just quickly get started. I guess we can get started with some announcements. We mentioned, I guess I will let Jason, if you are in the meeting. Yeah, if you want to talk more about the cadence of this meetings that we're planning on doing going forward.
Yeah, so I mean, we had talked about it in the working group meeting last Thursday, but tentative plan is going to be to drop this from bi-weekly to monthly. So I'm going to put out a message in Karpenter Dev today as well, just confirming that that's good with everyone. But if we go forward with that, which based on the feedback from the working group meeting, I assume we will, the next version of this meeting will be a month from now instead of 2 weeks from now.
Sounds good. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's just get started with PRs. So starting from here, so a few of these have already been assigned out. This one's in draft. Still a small PR that has been around for a while. I'll assign this to myself. It seems like we just need to carry this through. Seems like it's just yeah, a pretty simple fix. I'm not even sure we still need it anymore, but I'll assign it to myself to just get this closed out.
Yeah, as we look at this stuff, just a reminder, I think we had talked about also, like, if it's a quick fix, great. But I think we had also talked about marking some things as stale so that we don't end up sitting with them too long. Like, especially if the contributor has feedback that we're waiting to see them implement or clarify. But like, again, in this case, this seems like a simple fix.
Right, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I mean, this one has been around forever at this point. But Jonathan was responded then. That was since January 26th. So yeah, we should be able to just close this up probably by the end of today. Um, okay. This is in draft. Yeah. I guess how do we feel? Does anybody have any opinions about having PR sit in draft for a while?
Um,
Because this is not, I mean, it's not just this one. I also see this other PR here as well.
so honestly, for the one that I have open, I probably can just close it and create an issue that we want to track around it. I think that makes the most sense for that one, but this one, yeah, we can discuss.
For this one,
Yeah.
do you mind opening the linked issue? I feel like this is something that might have been fixed by the PR that I put up.
Yeah. Seems like you're assigned to it.
Yeah, I think we should be able to resolve the PR. I mean, I think the change that I merged does not solve it for all the scenarios, but I think it does solve it for most of the scenarios. So I think the intent of the original PR, I think that should be resolved now.
Would you mind if I assign it to you, Sora, so that you could just take a look at it and then if it, I guess, have a conversation with them to see if it solves their case or not?
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. No, I think I've been talking to Jorge. He has been
Oh,
actively
even better.
engaging with the issue, but yeah, like I can still take a look and close it out.
What is your alias here?
Saurav Das Agarwala. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. And then this one, Jigisha, I'll let you take care of that one.
Yeah, I'll take care.
Cool.
Yeah, I think
Great.
generally though, you would asked about like just opinion on long-term draft PRs in general.
Yeah.
I don't really see an issue with people opening draft PRs and keeping them open if there's movement on them. If there's no movement for like a long time, maybe we could ask them to close, but since it's marked as draft, it indicates they're not looking for active review, so I don't think it's really a big deal.
Yeah, like in this,
Yeah.
I need to revisit it. It's been, I think, months, but this is something that is still useful, and if nothing else, a starting point. If I am going to be picking it up or someone else, but it's in my laundry list.
Yeah, but I agree. It was just more of like PRs that are just lingering without anyone working on them if they're just sitting there. There's just more of a hygiene question, I guess. Oh, we have this RC. I think this one really just needs review though at this point. I think it's a pretty straightforward design, and I think we're all pretty somewhat aligned into at least considering it. Um, yeah. Jason, if would you mind if I guess me and you are both reviewers on here, so we can. Do you want to just tackle this between me and you at some point in time? Since you,
Sure, go for it.
yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, cool. This point, these ones have were signed out. Mm. Any strong opinions on this? Any takers who would like to drive review on this PR? Seems pretty straightforward. I do think we need to have a consensus and meeting around it.
I thought we had said in the past that we just don't want to consider time zones.
Right. Because
Yeah.
daylight savings just going to be surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this one has already been closed. I guess we can just close this out. I mean,
I mean, have we said it here?
no, this one it seems like just got stepped out.
Yeah, no, I think we can have a discussion in the RFC, but I think time zones add, our opinion at least previously was that time zones add enough surprising behavior that it's a foot gun that we don't want to introduce to the project. While it may add some convenience, it's safer to reason about things in UTC than it is in the local time zone.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I just think would somebody be willing to be an owner to just kind of drive that conversation? Sorry? Okay. Or did you just have your hand raised?
I was curious, like, do we have any examples of using time zones in the broader Kubernetes ecosystem? Yeah, I'm looking at the cron documentation, for example, and I think it supports time zone. And like, if we have support for time zones in like the core Kubernetes resources, then it seems reasonable to allow this. What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess an RFC I think would be useful because I think some customers would feel they would have the same opinion that you guys are, in the sense that like if I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot, I guess it's not really our concern. We just provide them, you know.
Well, it is our concern when we get the
No, I
issues
mean,
for it. So
sure, but I mean, like if you to the extent of like a customer messing up the time zones or not having a full grok of it, that's like, you know, our official recommendation can simply just be use UTC to avoid these drawbacks. But if you really must, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do understand that time zones can be a little tricky, but again, I mean, it's not a new problem per se. So I would definitely expect most customers to be aware of how they're configuring it. I feel like if Kubernetes in general had this stance, then it would somewhat still make sense, but it seems a little odd for us to say that, hey, you know what, like time zones in particular for Karpenter are a lot more confusing, even though Kubernetes supports it.
Yeah, I actually just linked the documentation for cron jobs supporting time zones.
Yeah. This part scares me a little bit.
And we can move on. I think the all I was trying to call out is like we should probably think about this a little bit more. Like we can still take the stance that, hey, you know what, we feel that it's still very confusing for customers, so we don't want to support it. But let's factor in these other things like cron jobs which support time zones and see if we want to revisit our stance.
Yeah, I just think I do remember us previously discussing exactly like how we would even interpret what like time zone like a specific customer is in. If you have clusters that operate in like if you have, you know, applications or teams that operate in multiple different time zones, exactly how that would be configured, where is like where Carpenter is running, depending on that, how that exactly is going to be interpreted as what a time zone is. I do remember us having these kinds of conversations initially when the disruption budgets were even being designed. It was a key conversation point. Anyways, okay. Does
At the
anybody
end of the
else have
day,
anything to add?
I think we need to just ask them how much it matters to them. You know, like if this is a critical, they need to have it, we can support it, but it does add complexity, which I think was what Sarah was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would really die on this hill, so to speak. I mean, it's a usability improvement. I feel like I've been in I've seen situations wherein just having a better time zone view would be a little more intuitive because then I don't have to keep converting it back and forth to UTC. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I do agree that it can end up being confusing. So I think that's where we should just try to align with how or the broader Kubernetes stance on these things.
Yeah, plus one to what Sarah was saying.
So, any takers in terms of driving this conversation?
Because where does the conversation need to happen, I guess? Like just on the issue, or are we talking about taking it to the
I mean, I don't like if we have the conversation on this yeah, or on the issue, I think that's probably fine. Um, but I do think we need to express the like I guess the opinion of it being the complexities of you know introducing times.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems kind of like a no-brainer to like to follow the Kubernetes kind of standard here, especially like when it comes to time zones and times and whatnot. But I would want to like, do we have a lot of users asking for this? Because otherwise, like, it seems like, I mean, it's work someone's gonna have to do, and if no one's really asking for it aside from like a couple people, then like maybe it shouldn't be prioritized that highly or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Derek. Like what other places would we need to examine where times might be useful as well.
Because ideally, we don't have a project where some times support time zones, but others don't.
Right. No,
That
that's
strikes me as
absolutely right. Yeah. If we're going to assume it's UTF everywhere, but give users the option to change it, then we need to give them the option to change it everywhere also, right?
Yeah, I'll probably need to update like all time usages or daytime usages in Karpenter to support time zones. It would be pretty weird to just support time zones for like a few fields and not for others.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you want to assign it to me, like I'll do a little research and look into it and just see where we might need time zones and whatnot, and then I could come back to the working group and share what I found or whatever.
That's good. Cool. That sounds great. Thank you. Okay. Seems like we just haven't had any movement on this PR. I guess since Jonathan had reviewed, I will just assign it to him. Anything else is assigned. This one up, I'm tracking it. That's okay. We have dependabot. That's were you want to take this one since you commented on it?
This one doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Actually, I'm not sure when things are being encoded and decoded in this way.
It seems like they're using an unstructured, like a structured type. Yeah. I guess we need to just see what happens when we have our own custom script and just trying to pull the node pools and see what exactly like how they're converting.
Well, almost sounds like just from the description they were trying. I can't tell if they're saying that the failure resulted in a base 64 encoded issue being or duration being printed, or if they were trying to pass a base 64 encoded duration, but I don't think that's supported.
Right. That's part of like what's not making sense to me.
I mean, so are you just thinking of just letting the PR sit or
Well, I think they need to provide an actual example to
yeah.
help us understand. I think that's what we're looking for here.
No, I definitely agree with that. I guess either one of you want to drive that conversation.
Where commented last night, looks like.
Yeah.
In our internal project that so someone's trying to upstream a fix for their project.
Yeah.
Be a little more curious about like, I mean, I appreciate they've gone and looked at like the implementation details here, but that almost seems like it's bubbling out the implementation detail. Like what's the actual user error that occurs when you give it a nullable duration, but like what breaks, you know?
Yeah, I'll ask for more info. That's where I
Sounds
think.
good.
Because like the idea here is they're passing a nullable duration in, it's not being reconciled, or it's not being processed by the unstructured, marshaller properly. But what does that what causes, like what happens then? Does the whole thing crash? Does it just ignore it? Like what does it do, right?
Yeah, assign to me. I'll follow up with some questions.
Oh, and then this one is just when you're looking at read. All right, I mean you open it. I think the rest we can just leave. It's us. We'll just follow up. Cool.
Which
Uh,
one of my other ones?
No, I accidentally just opened your PR. That's all.
Oh, yeah. I have the PR for the actual testing refactor that I'm about to publish. So
That's great.
once that's done and merged, then I can update those changes to account for that test or for that PR.
Cool. That sounds good. So, cool. Any PRs that anybody wants to call out? If not, we can just move on to issues. Okay. Cool. We're looking at these issues. Okay, let's start with the bottom one. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this looks like the Alibaba provider. Um,
Yeah, I can, if you want to go ahead and assign this to me, I can go ahead and get back to this. This does seem like a bug in the Alibaba provider. Um,
okay, it looks like they're just not, I guess, providing the correct information.
yeah, if I recall correctly, it was a bit of an oddity with how they provide instance types which aren't available in a given zone.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll leave the niche triage label. I don't
Sure.
know. Yeah, and I'll handle that. Okay. Reed, do you happen to have any awareness for this issue? I guess we'd have to drop. Okay. Doesn't seem like we triaged this one at all. I'll assign it to myself and I'll look back at it. And I'll oh, I wasn't even aware this was something that we did. Interesting. What is this? Okay. This is interesting as well. I gotta send this one to myself since I'm planning on. I'm not sure if I understand this feature request. I guess I could just use federal delete node, I guess, or expiration or any.
I mean, I think
I mean,
the
I don't know.
ask could be reasonable here. It's almost like a soft expiration mechanism for a individual node. Like still giving Karpenter basically saying, I want to delete this node, but in a less forceful way than you'd get with like kubectl delete node or node claim. You still want to respect PDBs. You still want to spin up replacement capacity first.
I see the replacement capacity makes sense. But
Yeah.
I thought doesn't kubectl delete node have PDB protections?
So, okay. So there's two things we talk about when we say PDB, like protection for Karpenter. It will not choose to disrupt the node if there is a blocking PDB, and it will respect PDBs while draining. If you do kubectl delete node claim, you only get the latter because you are initiating the disruption. So it will respect
Gotcha.
PDBs while draining, but there's nothing to prevent it from like starting the disruption before it like quote unquote knows there's no blocking PDBs.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess that's what I meant. Unless yes, that makes sense. I mean, we'll sit until all the pods can get evicted, but I mean, at that point, you could potentially get yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah. I see what you mean. That makes sense.
no, I definitely think there's a use case for it. I'd be curious how important it is for them, but I can see the use case.
Do you mind just if I assign it to you, just I guess flushing out exactly what their requirements are here?
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks. this is the one we just looked at. I'm wondering why we would be blocking a milk drain here. I guess static, like orphan pods or static pods themselves, that I guess by themselves wouldn't or shouldn't be blocking milk drain. Maybe I guess it goes in tandem with the other request of I'm actually triggering the deletion. And they have PDBs blocking.
I mean, maybe they're static. Carpenter. Yeah, I think we need more information on what their static pods look like, right?
Right.
Because
That's,
carpenters should not block termination, or it should ignore static pods when doing draining.
yeah. Like by themselves in its own nature, it shouldn't block anything. Maybe they're doing something, yeah. Maybe they're doing something unique with them.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with them. Hmm. I'm wondering if we are not even able to. We filtered out all the instance types that would work for their pods, their pending pods, and we're waiting until we find something that's available. Or I mean, we do some variation of consolidation, or the cloud provider has something available. Maybe they're getting the AWS providers, but it's possible that you're getting iced. I'm just gonna. What are the serious? What are the? Does anybody know what the tag for awaiting triage is? Or not awaiting triage, but rather needs priority, awaiting priority. I guess we'll just leave this for the time being for now, but so again. Okay. Okay. I think we need to move to have this CR move to a specific cloud provider. And just close this one out. Okay. Anyone takers to look at this PR or this issue? Looks like it also just came 7 hours ago, so we can just let it sit as well, or I'll take a look at it later on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably need maybe a short RFC. I'm not, just from my initial read, need to talk about it more and think about it more, but I'm not convinced by this because one of the reasons you set these different priorities is because you need those daemon sets to be present while the business workload pods drain. Otherwise, they may not be able to drain correctly. I think one of the rules with using Spot is you should be able to ensure that your workloads, all of them, can drain within those 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think more information in RFC would be good. I
Yeah.
think these are just been recently open, so we can let them be triaged first, and then we can come back to them. Mainly just an RFC, I guess, for this issue. Okay, cool. I will update the working group logs. But for the time being, I think we can call this meeting unless anybody else has anything to say. Cool. All right. Thanks everyone for joining today's working group.
Thanks, Manuel.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.